afternoon, 3:30 on a Thursday edition of On Cue, coming out the friendly confines of our SR 1029 FM The Game remote studios. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. Don't forget, you can get social with me. Very, very easy to do at Rich Q on Q on X, IG, TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. Like, comment, subscribe if you like what we are pushing out during the week, Monday to Friday. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. As always, we're powered by our wonderful friends over at Pliable Fresh Roasted Coffee. And of course, Played Against Sports, 2 locations, Deptford and Mount Laurel, on this, the 5th of February, 2026, with the Super Bowl creeping right around the corner. Seattle and New England. I know you guys are juiced and jacked up and fired up on that one, right? We will get into that tomorrow. A extended edition of Back Your Player sports betting show. Lloyd Vance would join me. We'll break down, as we like to say, the big game. NBA, it's been a wild last 24, 48 hours in the NBA with trades and no trades and trying to get under luxury tax and fan bases that are getting ready to revolt. First of all, let me just say this. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that the Bucks were not going to deal Giannis. I just never felt he was going to get moved. And obviously that's kind of where we're at right now with the trade deadline fast approaching, pretty much its expiration date. But yeah, I never thought that at all. Well, it's actually past right now. I mean, Green remains with the Warriors. Giannis remains with the Milwaukee Bucks. We saw the Knicks making a little bit of a move. We saw what Cleveland did with James Harden. We obviously saw Dallas going in rebuild mode. And then, we kind of went back and forth yesterday with the Philadelphia 76ers fans, who are absolutely beside themselves. And I almost, there is a part of me, I'm telling you, there is a part of me that I feel bad for the Sixers fan. I do. Now, you guys know I'm a Knicks fan. I'm having a good day today, right? I mean, think about this. Cat gets cut me Mick. They still win last night. Overtime, Brunson does what he does. And the Knicks have won 8 straight. But I almost feel bad for the Philadelphia 76ers fan. And I said this years ago. They should have traded Embiid when they had an opportunity to. And the fact that Embiid, who's no longer your franchise player, but Embiid will always, he'll be that endearing figure when his time has come with the Philadelphia 76ers. He basically had to call out the owner, Josh Harris, for ducking the tax, right? I mean, think about this. And you got an owner now who's nowhere to be found, who's too worried about the Washington Commanders' new logo and vision, because that's his bread and butter. That's his baby. Josh Harris does not care about the Philadelphia 76ers. Josh Harris does not care about the players. Josh Harris does not care about the city of Philadelphia. And Josh Harris can give 2 shits about you, the fans that spend your hard-earned money going to these games. So if that's all true, which I believe it is, then sell the friggin' team. Because yesterday's move with McCain, all we heard was this is setting up. This is setting up for a monster deal. Oh my goodness, we're going to wet the whistle. Giannis is coming. Kawhi's coming. Maybe LeBron. They're going to do something. And what did they do? Literally nothing. Literally nothing. That's exactly what they did. They did nothing. It's an embarrassment. It's a slap in the face. It is a flat slap into the face, what they did, which is nothing. I mean, the fact that you're trading Eric Gordon for a 2032 second-round swap to Memphis, you could have converted Barlow, by the way. You keep putting the spin on these moves, some of these beat reporters. It's nauseating. It is. It's nauseating. It's gutless. Will somebody have some balls and call out the franchise? Will a beat reporter basically put pen to paper, pen to ink to paper, type it up, tweet it out, have a friggin' mail carrier, a pigeon? I don't care. Call out the organization. Call out the owner. Call out the GM, for Christ's sakes. My God. Daryl Morey, let me just go around and trade McCann for picks and Eric Gordon just for shits and giggles, for the fun of it. It's not how you run an organization. It's not. It's absolutely not. That's not how you win over a fan base. Come on, just stop already with this nonsense. And I'm not even a Sixers fan, but I'm annoyed. I feel bad for the Sixers fan today. I do. I really do. I feel for you guys because you know what? The city of Philadelphia, as much as I butt heads with the Philly fans, and I've been doing it for years, for 20 plus years on the air, you know, and I mock and we joke and we go back and forth. And yeah, the Eagles have gotten the better of my Giants for how long now? Like an eternity. I understand the passion that is the Philadelphia sports fan. I do. I understand the passionate fan. I totally get it. I totally get it. Born in New York, grew up in South Jersey, worked in different markets, so I had the both of it, New York and the Philly market. I get it. I understand how passionate these fans are, and you're starting to bring them back a little bit after the crap that we've seen. And you're winning a couple games, and then you get the PG fiasco. And then yesterday, all we heard, this is a bit, I mean, every friggin' beat reporter, it seemed like, kissing the Philadelphia 76ers ass because they're afraid to say something derogatory about the franchise. Grow a pair. Seriously, grow a pair and call them out. You've got the vehicle, you've got the venue, you've got the microphone, you've got the pen, you've got the ability, you've got the platform, but yet some of them are acting as gutless as the GM, as gutless as the owner. You still have Embiid. You've got a young Maxey. You've got a hell of a rookie. You've got nucleus. You've got a little juice going. You've got Embiid who worked his ass off to get back in playing shape. A player that I've been critical of most of his career. But when he's healthy and on the floor and engaged, he can be as dominant as he wants to be. And this is what you do. You basically, it's not even a stand pat. It's like almost worse. I mean, you get your franchise player who's no longer the franchise player, but you know what I'm saying. He almost had this public outcry like a gun to his head. Like, you know, he's trying to talk to those that took his basketball hostage. It was like a public cry, a public plea not to duck the tax. So what do? You turn around, and I'm not going to sit there and say that McCann is going to be an all-time great, but he was a promising young player, a good guard for basically another player to duck the tax, and you brought in no one. That's ownership's way of telling you we don't care. That's exactly what that is. That's the GM basically saying, we'll catch up next year. Yeah, we'll catch up. No worries. Look, teams around the NFL, we know some of them are in rebuild. We know somebody, and I said the NFL, I'm sorry, that's where my head's at. Teams in the NBA are, and I apologize. Yeah, you guys are already asking me how many cups of fresh roasted. A lot, by the way. But teams in the NBA, we understand when they make certain moves, they're doing it because they want to get out of bad contracts. You know, tanking in the NBA is easier to do than in the NFL. It is. It really is. It's the dirty secret, right? It's taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it. We don't like to use the word tanking. So what do we say? They're rebuilding. When everyone knows when you trade off certain players, when you're trying to jettison some players and you think you're acquiring draft picks and or capital and or, you know, equity, what are you really doing? What are you really doing? You're tanking. That's really what you're doing. And you're trying to put together the worst potential product on the floor. It's pronounced, it's prevalent, it's evident in the NBA. And the NBA product stinks. And you're talking about a guy that loves basketball. But the NBA product stinks. It's watered down. They play zero defense. This isn't the late 80s. This isn't the 90s. It's not even the early 2000s. It's pick and roll, ISO ball. I watched that crap You go to a Saturday, a local YMCA, and you can see that. But if you're in the Eastern Conference and you're a team like the Philadelphia 76ers and you're looking around, you realize that Indiana, that made the finals last year, no Halliburton. Boston, that won it a couple years ago, no Tatum. The Knicks are playing well. Cleveland stumbling a little bit. Okay, does Detroit have some staying power? Miami, You look around, you say to yourself, wait a second. We can make a little bit of a run. We can do something we haven't done forever, it seems. Get out of the second round. Get out of the second round. Get to an Eastern Conference Finals. Look, Toronto is beatable. Cleveland is beatable. I think the Knicks match up well against the Sixers, and Detroit's a young team. You don't know if they know how to win. And then you got a veteran team in Boston that always gives the Sixers and the Knicks fits. But point being is, you still have Embiid. You're going to get George back. You've got Maxey, right? You've got Edgecombe. You've got, you've got some guys that understand their position on the floor, some of these role players. And it's not like with Milwaukee. Milwaukee understands Giannis is getting older. He's been banged up. Our window is closed. We won our championship, and we're going to hang on, which I figured they were. The Clippers trading Harden. It's almost as though just get rid of them, go somewhere else, and implode in the fourth quarter. So I'm not trying to tell you that some of the players right now in the Sixers are Allen Iverson and reincarnated. That's not what I'm saying. But they did nothing. And if I'm a fan, I would be pissed off. Look, some of the best trades that you make in sports are the ones you never make. When the Bulls were, the rumor was we're going to trade Scottie Pippen to Seattle for Sean Kemp. Never did it. And OKC, you basically trade it for a player at, his absolute lowest value. And he's a young player that has a tremendous amount of upside. And all I heard, too, with some of these friggin' moves, this is the other thing that pisses me off about the NBA. You're bringing this guy in so he can mentor people. What the hell did you bring Eric Gordon in? Well, I mean, seriously. What was the point of that? You attach a second-round pick swap to get rid of him? Lowry, God forbid if you needed him to play 20, 25 minutes, who's got a no-trade clause, can't even get off the pine, can't play. And then you trade a 20-year-old guard that can play in the NBA, can play at this level. That is incompetence. That is malpractice. It's an utter disgrace. Utter disgrace. And if I'm a Sixers fan today, I should be pissed off. I should be livid. You have every right to be livid. Every right. I mean, the last 24, 48 hours in the NBA is just crazy. It's been crazy. And yeah, I am calling out some of these beat guys. For some of you guys questioning me calling them, I am. Because do your friggin' job. Do your friggin' job. It's different. When I'm on the radio or I'm doing my pods creating the content, I'll call you out. I don't care. But even when I cover teams, yes, you ask tough questions. You go after them. You have to. That's your job. It really is. It's your job. And again, some people, they don't want to do that. And I'm not going to tell you that all of a sudden this team has emerged as a contender coming out of the East. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying they could have been competitive and it could have been interesting. That's all I'm saying. We all knew Giannis wasn't going anywhere. You know it, and I know it. All right, 3:46, cranking it up. 15 minutes in on a Thursday edition of On Cue. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We're on Kicks, Rumble, AUDACY app, SR 1029 FM, the Game, Coastal Sports Digital Network on X as well, and a couple other platforms. Very easy. If you like the content, get connected with me on social media. And as always, keep it locked in, like, comment, and share. A lot of comments coming in. We will rip through them on the other side. We want to remind you, we are powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee, Three Brooks Bourbon. Get ready with tea. Play it against sports. By the way, we are going to hit some NFL today because I am watching the Philadelphia friggin' Eagles unravel, and I'm enjoying every moment of it. Yes, we will talk a little NFL, and it seems as though the whole world is mad at Tom Brady, especially the New England Patriots. Super Bowl right around the corner. We'll start to break down the big game as well. A lot of NBA. Your thoughts on the Sixers, the Knicks, Giannis, LeBron. We'll get to your comments as well. Keep it locked in on a Thursday edition of On Cue right here on SR 1029 FM, The Game, Coastal Sports Digital Network. All right, welcome back, everyone. 350. That's why I don't like to go away too long with you guys. I like to kind of hang tight. I don't want you guys to be left hanging. Don't forget, we're powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Savings on me, BYP20. Check out the show link. Let's get to some comments. My man, Coach Rick, chimes in. Louisiana Spice, my guy. Let's get in the queue. Pelicans need John Moran, even if we have to move one, our young pieces. Yeah, listen, that's another name that was floating out there, right? I mean, it almost seemed it made sense with some of the moves that they were already making. And I know that, so Morant's name was floated with Milwaukee and Giannis, right? And I think now it's pretty obvious if, listen, Morant's going to stay with Memphis. To me, it tells me for a talented but volatile 26-year-old player who's a hell of a player when he's on the floor, the fact that you can't find a dance partner, you know, kind of tells me everything I need to know. Like, if I'm John Morant, I got to wake the hell up. I'm sorry. I really do. You're too talented and too good of a player. Like, Jonathan Marshall, Marshall Time Pod, covered Memphis for years, did TV and radio down there. We used to have this discussion all the time with Morant. Like, you can be king down there in that community, in that area. Face of the franchise going forward, period. And again, the fact that they couldn't move him kind of tells you everything you need to know. Now, the Giannis, Bucks fan 16 chiming in, and he agreed with me. I said this yesterday. I never really felt that for like my Knicks, I did not want them to give up what some of you guys wanted them to give up to go get the Greek Freak. I just wasn't willing to do it. I just was not willing to do it. And listen, I think the fact that they stood pat, the Knicks, speaks to what they're trying to build here. That was a hell of a win last night, man. That was a great game. You put up 134. Brunson goes for 42. Telling Joker, get out of here. Cat with bloody and battered. And here's the other thing about Cat. I've called him soft. Yeah, I get it. He got banged up last night, got the cut. He came back. Good for him. Wound up playing 31 minutes, 9 of 13 from the floor. I can't stand when he shoots the threes. Okay, 2 of 6. But he gives them 24 and 12 rebounds. And they get a 134-127 win at home. And the Knicks are rolling. They're rolling. Now, little test on Friday on the road against a very young and up-and-coming Detroit team. But I was fine with the Knicks basically, for all intents and purposes, standing pat. I mean, obviously they made the move for Alvarado. I get it, right? From the Pelicans, so you get the local product coming back home. But some of these players, I never thought they were going to get moved. Money Mike, you think Giannis hurting Kyrie on purpose in that 2020 playoff series? Nah, no, 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 no. I mean, look, you're allowed to have a physical series, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It was I know that he regrets it, if you remember, right? I know that, Kyrie to this day has said that uh, Giannis injured him on purpose. But, I mean, that's, revisiting his history, is it not? Now, again, the other thing is this with the Timberwolves, and now you get Giannis out of the equation. Now I think they pivot. And I thought the best route would have been to pivot to either John Moran or Kyrie. Now, again, all that being said, I can't really do much at this point. Some of these players, you have to wait till the offseason. They're going to be free agents. You attack them in that fashion. You think the Nets released Cam Thomas for nothing? It's funny because I actually have, believe it or not, I have a couple of, obviously, I get more of the New York Knicks fans that chime in, and obviously the Sixers fan and some DC fans, Washington fans, but I'll occasionally get some Nets fans that will chime in. And I think ultimately it's, this was kind of like you kind of saw this coming. Like the marriage is over. Like I know people will look at it and say, oh my God, that's kind of shocking. No, we call that a divorce in sports. I mean, that's really what it is. Look, you got a 24-year-old. He's going to enter free agency. Can the kid play? Yeah, he can. He was averaging about 16. They had offered him multi deals over the summer. I think one was like 2 years at 29 million. You had a team option. 1 year just under 10 or 11 million. I'm sure it was incentive laced. You guys can check for me. He didn't want him. He rejected them both. So instead, he turned around. He got a lower qualifying offer, and that pretty much told you that was going to be the beginning of the end. And here's another thing. You how can I really judge your worth if you're constantly hurt, right? So think about it. He suffers. What was it? His right hamstring back last year. Then he re-aggravated. I don't even know if that's the word you use, or just aggravated it again in early November. And then, he lost his starting spot. Minutes got down, and there's been no interest at him, no interest for him with the trade deadline. The other thing is he's a good player, but he doesn't play defense. And it's, you need to get him in the offense pretty early. Like we talk about guys that have like Maxey is a playmaker. He can shoot, he can come off pick and rolls, come off screens, he can pop, he can put it on the floor, he can attack the tin, he can go to the basket. Thomas is not that guy. Like he's good. There's a fit for him in the NBA. Good player, young player, going to find a new home, but he's not a playmaker. So it's not as shocking as you might think it is. It's not as shocking to me. It's not. Giannis needs to be under fire now a little. Been a lot of talk coming from his people, but no action. Does he want to win or not? Got to demand more from a team or trade shit or get off the pot. 100%. 100%. There was all this friggin' talk from his camp. Minnesota's interested. Golden State's interested. The Knicks are interested. Miami's interested. And now what? You are 100% correct. 100%. But I never felt ultimately, here's the problem. You're going to make demands like that, right? You're going to make demands. And now we're going to call your bluff, and they're not moving him. It kind of tells me something. Like there were all these, landing spots, preferences, so to speak. Because at first there was some confusion with the no trade clause and understanding why his preference matters. I mean, this is something Jonathan Marshall and I spoke about last week and earlier in the week. So the contract itself doesn't have a no trade clause. The Bucks could have sent him anywhere for the right return. Now, the problem is when you go out there, you have your people, your camp start to say, we've got all these interested parties, and some of these teams maybe are now, wait a second, we're not really interested in Giannis. We know it's smoke and mirrors. We totally understand that it's fluff at the end of the day, right? So now, okay, who's really got the leverage? Well, at the end of the day, let's just be honest. It was really Milwaukee. And now what's going to happen? He's going to play out his contract and see if the pick up his player option in 2027. But there were so many teams out there, to your point, Golden State, Miami, the Knicks, Minnesota, all we heard were, aggressively pursuing. That's why sometimes I get so annoyed with some of these BS. I mean, look, I'm not going to discredit certain insiders, but really all you're doing is picking up the phone when a team's telling you they're going to or not make a deal and you tweet it out. You're not really breaking anything. I'm sorry, you're not. You're not. Like some of the stuff, you and I go back and forth for an hour plus 2 hours a day. We can break this shit. We know more than what they're talking about at times. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you right now. Like, listen, in the NBA, I still believe the way the game is, it's always great to have a big, right? You want a guy that can play both ends of the floor. We know it's predicated on a guard play, but we also understand there's still an element of ISO ball. There's still an element of the pick and roll. There's still an element of 1-on-3. Everyone get the hell out of the way. They don't play defense. It's matador defense. So you look around some of these teams right now that are scoring 125, 130, 135. You should be able to make the playoffs. And then again, you got to figure out, we're going to go half court offense. We're going to press. We're going to face guard. We're going to go press with the defense. And I think teams like the Knicks, I think a team like, honestly, the Sixers, if they have all their bullets in the chamber, Cleveland, when they get right a little bit, and we'll see how the Harden experiment kind of works. Boston, if they had a healthy Tatum, Indiana, if they had a healthy Halliburton, those teams, like those are your 4, 5, 6 that I say, okay, they can make a run here. They can try to get out of the Eastern Conference. But I don't see anyone beating OKC. I think the Spurs are a matchup nightmare. Now, I get it. We're kind of now starting to get into the heart of the NBA season. As you guys know, I've always maintained, we start talking NBA, you start getting serious about the NBA right around Christmas time. So from Milwaukee to, all this talk, and Giannis with all this talk, and I want out, and I want out, and I want out. And now all of a sudden, is it just possible there's no suitors? They were not willing to give up what Giannis thought, what Milwaukee thought you would get in return for him. I mean, that's how I'm reading the room. Now, are you going to do offers in the offseason? Yeah, absolutely. And I think Milwaukee did the smart play. I really do, because now, listen, Giannis, if you go by what people put on social media, he's got a little front runner in him. He's posting the clip, Wolf of Wall Street, right? When DiCaprio says, I'm not leaving. Yeah, well, maybe it's because what you thought you were worth, maybe that's not it. Maybe it's not it. And now you can kind of play it out for the rest of the season. And I think what'll happen now is you'll get more clarity on your draft pick compensation. And you'll understand how the market is. Because as the contenders, as some of these windows start to shut, and or some of them potential widen with some of these contenders, or maybe they're outside looking in, then going into the offseason, we need that one piece. We need that one piece to the puzzle. Oh, now all of a sudden, let's start the conversation. Let's now start to talk about what we're willing to part with to get Giannis. This is the guy that's going to get us over the hump. Milwaukee played it smart. Milwaukee played it close to the vest. And we understand they're dealing with a shitty season. It's a losing season. They're not going to make the playoffs. And you're also dealing with a player. He's great, but he's also missed some time this season with an injury that you don't want to fool with, and that's a calf injury. And I just never thought I just never thought that they were going to move him. I mean, all the speculation started before the season started, and then you had all this tension kind of growing, growing, growing. And I just Milwaukee, look, that's a good basketball franchise, believe it or not. Even before Giannis, even in the 80s, even in some of the points of the late 90s with the Ray Allen, like you go back to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robinson, remember them, Lou Alcindor, right? Changing his name. You're talking about the championships in the early 70s. So you've got a player, you selected him, I think 14th or 15th, 2012, 2013. He was a very raw talent, substantial amount of upside. And now look at him. He's a Hall of Fame player. He's a Hall of Fame player. He's been with that franchise and that organization for a very long time. He's a multi-time MVP. He's the Defensive Player of the Year, and they won a championship. And I think, maybe in his mind, he's also thinking, maybe I do want to stay here for the time being. New headphones, who this, aka He 12 Man, aka Heisman, aka Steeler Nation, aka Duval, also affectionately known as Vince. Good call. Q Cat did play big last night. Stupid foul in OT. Foul, but he played like a big, more than I've seen him lately. Got to stop with the stupid fouls though. I think last night was a big moment for Karl Anthony Towns. I really do. I really do. Because if you go out of that game and you're dealing with a little cut, I mean, hockey players lose half their mouth and they're sewed up and they're back in there. But if you're out of that game and you don't come back in, I think people are going to question your toughness. I think they're going to question your heart. They're going to question your want. And that's, again, never a good thing. And that was a big moment. That was a big moment last night. Man chimes in. What's up, people? Looking good, man. When are you releasing Super Bowl prop bets, Q? I mean, obviously, Luca Brasi just decides to chime in for 5 friggin' minutes, doesn't even friggin' read the room. We don't know where the hell he's been. It's amazing, too. Speaking of which, we'll get into this in a couple minutes when we switch gears to the NFL. I'm glad that Luca Brasi decided to peek his little friggin' head out like Puxatani Phil, right? Is that the groundhog that basically decides we got 5 more weeks of friggin' winter? It's almost like a whack-a-mole. We are going to get to the NFL because I've got a bone to pick with the Bunker Boys and Luca Brasi because they've been silent. I had guys tweeting at me. They wanted to know where the B-Boys were. They wanted to know. They've been so silent. You want to know why? Because the Eagles aren't in the Super Bowl. Whack-a-mole, Punxsutawney Phil. It's exactly what it is. Seriously, you're Bunker Boys and Luca Brasi, Joe D, Tom and Summers Point. I see you peeking your little friggin' head through. I see you looking. You're just like a little whack-a-mole, a little whack-a-rat. That's exactly what you are, whack-a-rat. Eagles fans, you peek your head up to see what the hell's going on. You realize you're not playing in the Super Bowl. And by the way, they're unraveling as we speak. I've never seen a fan base clamor over an offensive line coach. Now, don't get me wrong. He's a great offensive line coach. I mean, let's be honest. Stoutland is one of the best. I hope he goes to the Giants. But listen, it's just maddening to me how the Eagles fan, when they're not relevant, when they're not in the Super Bowl, when they get bounced at home to a banged up 49er squad, where they fire the OC, where you got other coordinators that don't even want to touch it because it's like toxic, right? It's like kryptonite going to Philly, worried about getting eggs thrown at your house. When you get rid of KP, when you got A.J. Brown on the hot seat and you want to trade him, when you got Sirianni trying to get a little power, trying to get a little equity, now all of a sudden no one can get along with him. I am watching this friggin' franchise unravel, implode before my very eyes. And I got to tell you, I'm enjoying every second of it. So we'll get into a little NFL on the other side. Tom Brady. I mean, did Tom Brady just go from the GOAT to, rat status? Is that possible? No, Bunker Boys. You don't make the show. You peek your head up. I got the corporations chiming in. I got all the other guys that are locked in every single solitary day. You peekaboo, you Puxatani Phil. Punxsutawney Phil. That's it. You peaked up, you peaked in, that's it. We go NBA hard. That's what we did. NFL on the other side. A lot of comments coming in. I think you guys actually like the whack-a-rat, whack-a-mole. We'll get into that as well. 4:05 on a Thursday edition. All right, 4:05 on a Thursday edition of On Cue. We'll get to your comments. I promise we're powered by our good friends over at Three Brooks Bourbon. Get ready with tea, fresh roasted coffee. Also on the AUDACY app, download it, check out Coastal Sports Digital Network, Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. Quick timeout. All right, welcome back, everyone, to a Thursday edition of On Cue, 10 past 4 o'clock hour, powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee, 20% off your first purchase. Check out the show notes. Keep the conversation rolling. Vince chimes in. Heard talk that Jim Schwartz trying to get fired so he gets paid. That's what his holdout is all about. Can't see how this helps him ever get a head coaching job. DC defensively, but not head coach. Listen, stranger things have happened, right? If a team wanted to take a flyer on John Gruden after everything that was leaked out with those emails, he'd get a head coaching job. Stranger things have happened in the NFL, right? Stranger things have happened. I don't think Schwartz doesn't need the money, to be quite honest with you. He's pissed off. I told you he's pissed off because he helped that defense become a viable option, a competitive defense, and he was figuring that, hey, everyone's giving me a lot of respect in the building, and now I'm going to turn around, and here we go, right? I'm not even going to address some of these comments. Got a good feeling about Cooper Kupp anytime. Touchdown Sunday. Oh, even though I'll be working and not. No. Those are lies. Not even going to get through it. Luca Brazzi, do these fans notice the mood change when Q gets a trash talk to Bunker Boys and Eagles? For the love of God, can you start selling I'll tell you what. I'll sell my merch first, which you might be able to get on millions.co. And second, I will sell corporation shirts. I will sell corporation mugs, tees, and shirts. That's not it. Do you still not get it? Are you still not friggin' able to read the room? Look what's going on with your franchise right now. Seriously. Look what's going on with your franchise right now. Your head coach, you're so lucky. The Philadelphia friggin' Eagles sold their soul to El Diablo, sold their soul to the devil to win a Super Bowl last year. You sold your soul, and now your head coach is basically helping you implode. Stoutland leaving is huge. I mean, there's no way about it. Do you not get it? You had to basically beg Vic Fangio to stay. So Vic Fangio, if they don't make the playoffs next year and everything goes south, he's going to retire. You're going to be looking for another coordinator. You had to turn around. You had to hire a new offensive coordinator. And now you've got Stoutland that is stepping away from the Eagles organization. And why? Because at the end of the day, it's all on Nick Sirianni. Read between the lines. Read the reports. Read what everyone pretty much is saying. You start to you give Sirianni power, and he starts to take it away from the people that have garnered the most respect in the organization. That's never a good thing. It's never a good thing. And that falls on the head coach, period. This guy, what, 13, 4? I mean, look, he's sprouting out Hall of Famers, all pros. I mean, this guy gave you everything you needed. This guy gave you everything you need. You got Jason Kelce, you got guys coming out saying, listen, this guy turned my career around, made me who I am. But read between the lines. Something you guys never friggin' do. Never do. So the offense was stagnant. We all saw it. We all admitted. I said after week 5, and you guys still tried to friggin' troll and come at me, that the offense was going to go south. And it was stagnant. So Sirianni takes on a more active role at the latter part of the season, right? So now you got Sirianni, the clown. You got KP. You got Kevin Patullo, the guy who's his buddy. He didn't even go outside the building. Let me hire this guy. Let's incorporate different run designs. We're going to kickstart the operation. We're going to jumpstart the engine. Here we go. Give it a little juice. Rev it up a little bit. Keep your foot on the gas. Stoutland wasn't consultant about any of these changes. And let's be honest, he had every right to be pissed. Like, think about it. If you got to the point where he no longer desired the title of run game coordinator because he felt he no longer fit the job description, break that down to layman's terms, to street terms. What the hell am I even doing here for then? What am I here? Like, what am I here? Why am I here? And I'm not going to sit there and say that the run game was dynamic, but the whole point is you had a guy that built up a body of work, all pros left and right across that offensive line, centers, tackle, guards, here we go. And you're really not going to bring him into the room. It's like, all of a sudden I'm the director or the the special advisory to defense. I'm in this mode right now because I finished Homeland. But let's just say I'm special advisory, or the guy in charge of telling the president right now we're going to push the button or not. And I'm not even in the situational room. Then what the hell did you hire me for? I'm trying to think, who was the character in Homeland? And I didn't know, by the way, this was after the fact. Saul Berenson. There we go. Saul Berenson. Unbelievable character. He was fantastic. But we knew of his role, right? I mean, this guy was advising people left and right. He was advising POTUS. He was unbelievable. He was absolutely unbelievable, right? He's an advisor. He's all over the place. Just what you want. He was like the bear, the CIA officer, right? This guy worked around the agency for 35-something years, mentored people, turned them into great agents and double spies and rogues, and here you go. That's Stoutland. That's Stoutland. That's exactly what it is. It's exactly who he is. And you don't start to confide in him, and that's on the head coach. And I'm telling you right now, I've been saying it. I said it even when they got bounced and they lost to Tampa. They came back. They won the Super Bowl in spite of Nick Sirianni. Okay? In spite of the head coach. They did it because of the defense, and they did it because you had an all-world running back that ran for 2,000 yards, which, oh, by the way, the offensive line created those friggin' holes. Okay? Sirianni's done. Like, the handwriting is on the wall. And I feel, why don't you guys see it? Why don't you guys see it? Like, why in the world? Do you realize when everyone said you have to fire Kevin Patullo, you have to fire Kevin Patullo? It's basically like a player in the NFL having a press conference saying he retired, but he never files the paperwork. Because everyone reported he is fired. No. He was stripped of his duties. That's a difference. There's a difference there. You're not supervisor anymore. Are you firing me? No, you're just not supervisor anymore. When you come in on Monday, 9 to 5, you got your own freaking cubicle. You don't have an office anymore. So it's like, well, wait a second. Still in the building, still within the organization? That doesn't make sense. That's awkward. Why? Because the head coach in this regard is like loyal to a fault. His loyalty is going to cost him his job. It is. It makes no sense. Like, he is still currently employed by the Eagles. So again, I don't know. Is it me? Am I just hating on Philly today with the friggin' Sixers and Josh Harris and Morey, the used car salesman, and the Philadelphia Eagles that have their head up their ass right now? We're going to fire? Okay, we're breaking up. I want a divorce, but that's okay. You can still sleep in my bed. You can still sleep in my room. What? What are we doing? Seriously, what are we doing here? It makes no sense. Loyalty the corporation has known for years. That's my whole point. That's the difference. That's the difference. It's one of the reasons, like I said, there are certain things that no matter what happens in life, there's death, taxes, and there used to be Duke making the Final Four, as my father used to say, but the corporation's loyalty. The corporation, they see a burning house. They see a burning church. They see nuns running around and little kids in the shelter running around. The corporation runs towards that fire. They grab the nuns. They grab the sheltered babies. They grab the kids. That's what they do. They go to battle. They go to war. Armored tank rolls up on the beaches of Norm. What do? They get out first. The bunker boys, freaking rats. You're rats. You are Patunxet County Phils. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, but that's who you are. You peek your friggin' head up to see what's going on over the next 4 to 5 weeks. It's exactly what you do. It's exactly what you do. Stop getting on me for finishing Homeland. I got my list, by the way, which I'll get into in a moment. My man Jovan chimes in trying to understand how come do all this. Your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea. It's maddening. I don't know. It's like, read the room, right? Like, read the room. Anyone can see what's going on right here. It's just the hiring. We're hiring a guy, say in Mannion. Young guy, offensive guy. Why? Because we're prepping. We're preparing. It's exactly what they're doing. It's exactly what they're doing. By the way, it's the same reason that the Jets pretty much probably gave a little more pressure to Aaron Glenn to hire Frank Reich. Frank Reich is who's very good friend, Boomer Esiason. Boomer Esiason still has a standing with the Jets in that organization. Because they're planning ahead. Because they know ultimately Aaron Glenn's not going to get the job done. And in this case with the Philadelphia Eagles, look what's going on. You could not get an offensive coordinator to take this job. You can't move, or you're trying to move, or you haven't moved, or you don't know if you're going to move an explosive, volatile, yet talented wide receiver. The head coach and the quarterback are not on the same page. The talented all-pro wide receiver and the quarterback are not on the same page. The quarterback is passive-aggressive at times. You just lose your offensive line coach, who's a great commodity and asset to the franchise and has been for over a decade, and you had to beg the defensive coordinator that's getting older, wants to retire, and had one foot out the door. Let's run it back one more time. Do you not see what's going on here? I mean, it's like a hail of bullets. It's shrapnel, and you guys want to try to put Band-Aids on it. Nobody asked about the corporation when they don't post. Corporation, listen, I'll tell you this right now. This is not even about me playing favorites, because I don't do that on the air. I don't do that. There's equal opportunity trolling on both sides. But I'll say this. The last time I checked, the corporation got their asses handed to them. Okay. The corporation lost in heartbreaking fashion in the AFC Championship game. And the other half of the corporation had a no-show and were overmatched against Seattle. But they still showed up on a Man Up Monday. They still showed up. They showed up on a Man Up Monday. They showed up on a Woosah Wednesday, on a Thought Out Thursday, and a Football Friggin' What the Frig Friday. So I don't want to hear any more from the Eagles fans, especially, like I said, I'm not even getting to you, Joe D. I'm not even getting to you, Tom, Nick and Walliford, not happening. Mark and Summers Point, get the hell out of my face today. I don't want to deal with it. I'm just telling you right now, see, we come on the air. We're not going to give you the CNNs. We're not going to give you the Fox. We're not going to go a little left. We're not going to go a little right. We go right down the middle, brother. That's what we do. And I'm speaking the truth right now. And Eagles fans don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. It is imploding right in front of your eyes. And you think, you know what? I can salvage this relationship. I can salvage this relationship. This is exactly what you think. This is exactly, it's exactly what you think. It's not going to happen. Let me get to more comments and I'll finish my thought. Sirianni not consulting Stoutland. It's horrible. It is a bad, bad, bad look. And if I'm a veteran guy and I've been part of a franchise and I've helped them be very consistent and win constantly, and oh, by the way, I've sprouted out all pros left and right, then guess what? You better friggin' listen to what I have to say. Seriously, you better listen to what I have to say. Some of these guys, look, Nick Sirianni, he will get the pass because they won a Super Bowl. So you've got the body of work and you've got the equity. Fine. But now we're past that. So you'll always be revered in that regard. Always. Always. You can't take that away. You're never a former Super Bowl winning head coach. I used to hate when I used to listen. Anytime I had a Super Bowl winning head coach on the air, and I've interviewed a couple of them, I've never said former. Once you win the Super Bowl, you are a Super Bowl winning head coach. Go ask Brian Billick. He can't stand when someone says, hey, now to the show, former NFL Super Bowl. No. So he's going to have that. You can't take away that moment, okay? But the reality is this. In the NFL, it's like everything else in life. What have you done for me lately? You work hard Monday to Thursday, but if you're dogging it on Friday, you wiped out all the goodwill Monday to Thursday. Hey, we're in a good relationship. We go out to dinner. We have a good time. We've been doing it for a couple months. Oh, by the way, I cheated on you. Well, guess what? I just ruined the goodwill that I built up with you. It goes hand in hand in life. It really does. It does. Any walk of life. And you can use that example to anything. But now you have a head coach that is toxic. And I feel as though it's the elephant in the room. I don't know if some people are just smitten over his clownish behavior, if he's a good salesman, if he's a good actor, if he's a good bullshit artist. But the fact is, the act has worn thin. It's worn thin. You got a guy that's been with the franchise organization for over a decade. Look at the players he has basically taken, molded, and they become all pros, Hall of Famers. Yes, they put in the work. They put in the work. No one's disputing that. But it's like a who's who. It's like a who's who of great offensive, of a great offensive line. 7 players to 27 friggin' Pro Bowls, and you're not going to confide in me? You don't think I know what the hell I'm doing? That is a problem, like Jovan said. That is a major problem. When you bring in younger coordinators, you want veteran guys around you when you're building the staff up. It's just football 101. It's common friggin' sense. The guys that fail are the guys that think they're the smartest guy in the room. The guys that succeed surround themselves with people that are smarter than them. That is a fact. That is a fact of life. You can't dispute me on that. You can't debate me on it. You can't. You just can't. You can't. And what the Eagles are doing is entirely, it's like trying to build that offense like when I was screaming for years with the Giants. You're going in and out, right? Fix the line first, right? Set the run up to pass, not the pass to run. You have to have players in the NFL. We all know that. But you also have you have to have a decent hell of a coaching staff. And they had one. They had one, and now look at them. Look what's going on right now. It's like they're toxic. They're untouchable. Nobody wants to touch them. I'm not giving you prop bets until friggin' Friday. I mean, seriously, we got rhythm, we got rhyme, I got fresh roasted, I got comments coming in. You get your prop bets on Friday. Excuse me, Q, you just finished Homeland. What are you going to watch next? Yellowstone? You mean Game of Thrones, or maybe you get wacky and watch. Oh, I love better. So hold on a second. Let me just address that by Vince. There are certain shows that when they were like, okay, I wouldn't say I'm guilty of this, but I'm creature of habit. If I like a show, like case in point, Trading Places has been on several times this week. I probably watched it 3 times. Loyal to a fault. There are certain shows I have to just put them on and say to myself, okay, now I'm in. Like I have to start and I have to be, you got to capture me with my, what's the word I'm looking for? My attention span. You gotta capture me fast, right? And all I heard was about Homeland. And I was like, maybe I'll give it a try. And once I started it, I really enjoyed it. So because I'm off the air Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're talking, the next day, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, sleeping's off. So I just started to watch. And then I got through season 1, 2, and I'm like, oh. And here's the other thing I did not realize this. My uncle pointed this out to me. One of my all-time favorite movies, one of my all-time favorites is The Princess Bride. I had absolutely no idea Sal Berenson, a.k.a. Manny Patinkin, was in A Princess Bride, who was one of my all-time favorite characters in that movie. I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. Enigma Montoya, right? You're that Spanish bratty kid. Like he was a great character. So yes, I watched Better Call Saul. You can't get on me for that. I watched Better Call Saul. I loved it. It was a great show. I binged Breaking Bad like a year and a half ago, which I think is an all-timer. I've already ripped through Oz years ago. Entourage, I'll binge again. The Wire, I'll binge again. Yellowstone was great, but 1923 and 1883 were much better. The only show that I haven't started that everyone's telling me I have to watch is Landman. I haven't started yet. Mayor of Kingston, unbelievable. Lincoln Lawyer, coming back tomorrow. So I got my list, but sometimes I just got to be in the mood. That's all. Tried to make Sirianni the CEO coach, and he can't do that, right? And we found early in his tenure that he can't call plays on offense. He's a cheerleader, Jovan. If this was any other coach in any other city and they didn't win the Super Bowl last year, Nick Sirianni would have been fired by now. Period. There's like, you get to a point where, again, it's funny that we're kind of talking about this right now because it's almost like, okay, so Giannis won it out in Milwaukee. And then you start to realize maybe I'm going to stay here because I don't have a better offer, or maybe the grass isn't always greener. Some of these head coaches, they get fired, and some of these franchises have what? Regret right away. It's like, again, it's like relationships. It really is. You can be at a job and you can be really good at your job, but your boss is a friggin' prick. And we've all been there. I mean, I couldn't, one of the reasons that, and I'm a radio guy, I'm a radio lifer, but one of the reasons that I started to see the trend when it comes to content is free reign. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I would have a friggin' prick of a PD, or they thought they were a program director or a program manager, ease up on what you're saying on the air. Why? Because we cover the team? Because we air the team? I mean, I can tell you stories among stories. It was just not a good fit. So it's like, okay, you gotta weigh your options here, risk to reward. It's just like relationships. And this is what we're happening. This is what we're seeing right now. Like what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles? We've seen it. I've seen it play out with franchises over the years. You win a Super Bowl, you get cocky, you get arrogant, you get fat in the offseason. And you think, I've got a little equity, I can slide a little bit. It doesn't work like that. Why? Because once you win, owners are hungrier. Okay, what can you do for an encore? What can you do? The fan base, and rightfully so, we get fat. We get, we're a little more juice. We want to go back to the championship. We're more impassioned. It hurts when we thought we had an opportunity to defend, to get back, and we don't, because those are special moments. That's like rarefied air. So what you're seeing right now with the Eagles, and I believe it started very early on in the season, the fact that Nick Sirianni was just complicit in the fact that he refused to take over the play calling, or he didn't want to hold Kevin Patullo accountable and fire him because he's his friend. That starts to, you have a divide now. You start to have a divide. It's like when you have a great defense and your offense stinks. Defensive players, when they lose the game 13-6 and did everything in their power to keep the game close, they're not going to throw the offense under the bus. They're not. But within that locker room, guys will start to gripe. Guys will start to gripe. It's like when you bench the starter, you bench the veteran quarterback, and you go to the rookie. There's going to be some players that sit there and say, we want a fresh set of eyes. We want youth. We want a little, we want a guy that can run around and make plays, doesn't know any better. And then there's another sentiment of your teammates in that locker room and the coaching staff too, by the way, and people in the building. Man, we want to stick with Q. He's a veteran guy. He's got us here before. We won with this guy. It just doesn't work out. The same thing can be said when you talk about these coaching staffs, because everyone has an ego. And Nick Sirianni, the only thing he sees when he looks in the mirror in the morning is, hey, I won a Super Bowl last year. I mean, that's really what he's thinking. And you got to remember who also helped you get there. Stoutland was one of those guys. He was one of those guys. Yeah, the players make plays, no doubt. We know that. But now it's almost as though, well, wait, I helped you get there. We had a line, an offensive game plan. We had guys moving around, shuffling, rotating in and out, all pros, all world. Here we go, creating spaces for Saquon Barkley to run over 2,000 yards, have a historic season when everyone thought his legs were shot. His career was done with the Giants. And now look. And then we won the Super Bowl in a game that wasn't even remotely close. I helped build that. I had my hand in it. And now you're not going to listen to me? Like, I personally, yeah, that's a slight to me. I don't want to work with a guy like that. And it's not sour grapes. It's like, you're not appreciating what I'm bringing to the table after all this time. Frig you, do it yourself. And it's just like relationships. There you go. Point of needing to be salvaged, walk away. That's exactly it. Sometimes you just have to. You have to decide, is it worth it? That's all. That's all. And some of these guys realize, man, I've been doing this for 10, 13, 14 years. This team, I remember when the Eagles won their first Super Bowl, okay? All I heard afterwards were dynasty. This is going to be a fun season. Remember when they even brought in Michael Vick and Deshaun? This is going to be a fun season. I can get used to this. Like, I get it. Fans get excited, but you also have to check yourself a little bit. You got to have a little check with reality. You're talking about special franchises over 20, 30, 40 years in sports. The 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Green Bay Packers, the Yankees, the Sox, the Lakers, the Celtics, the Bulls, Golden State. It's so hard to get to the playoffs and win it and get back and win it again and again and again. And I look at the Eagles right now, and I'm telling you, at this moment, they are a fractured franchise. I told you before the playoffs started, they were going to get bounced. I was even skeptical they were going to make the playoffs. And it's not Monday morning quarterbacking, guys. It's not. It really isn't. There's still issues with this team, whether they would have beat the 49ers or not. There's still issues. They're trending down because of the head coach. Explain to me again. They could have got to the NFC Championship because of their defense and lost because their offense did nothing. The conversation afterwards would have been like, why in the world do you still have that offensive coordinator calling plays? What the hell happened with the offense? Why didn't Nick Sirianni fire this guy? You know, it was almost add insult to injury that you fired him after you lost to the 49ers. You should have pulled the plug prior to. Should have pulled it prior to. A lot of dumbass comments preseason. I do. They got fat and they got cocky and they got arrogant and they got smacked around in that playoff loss. When did the bunker not show up on a Man Up Monday? During season, I agree if your Eagles coaching takes. No. Had the Eagles at least made a deep playoff run this year, we wouldn't be having this conversation. No, I don't believe that's true. I think we're still having this conversation because you're talking about a defending Super Bowl champs that went out with a whimper. And their deficiencies on the offensive side of the ball, you can no longer mask that. You can't. You can no longer mask that. By the way, did you see Tom Brady? Everyone is getting on Tom Brady. You know, Tom Brady basically comes out and says, quote, I don't have a dog in the fight. Are you kidding me? And by the way, I wouldn't have a problem with that per se if Fox was broadcasting the game, but they're not. It's going to be NBC. By the way, you want a player prop? How many times Collingsworth going to say Patrick Mahomes? If it's like 2.5, play the over. There, I gave you one, Luca Brasi. Cash in. And as we like to say on Back Your Play, if you say it, you play it. Okay? And if you back it, you're going to stack it. That's tomorrow, by the way. But Brady's getting hammered. He is getting hammered because he's basically saying, I'm not going to back the Pats. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with that? Is that trolling by Tom Brady? Seriously. Is that trolling by... To me, it makes no sense. Now, I'll tell you something else. He probably shouldn't even be worried about that. He should be concerned about his first ballot Hall of Fame chances because no Kraft, no hoodie. I'm telling you, there's a bunch of goofballs out there that are probably going to ice this guy out. But now you got all these former players coming out and destroying Brady. I mean, would it have killed him to just say, sure, Patriots always have a special place in my heart? I mean, you're a Hall of Fame quarterback. You played for the Patriots. I mean, think about that for a minute. And he's trying to go neutral? I don't know. I think it's kind of weak, to be honest. I mean, and by the way, your ex-teammate is the head coach of the Pats that I think he was a teammate for what, 7, 8 years? That's a fraternity. That's a brotherhood, right? So I don't know what, I don't know what Brady's thinking, man. I really don't. I mean, you gotta sit there and say, look, thank God we're not calling the game. I would have been objective as possible. It would have been tough. I bleed that Pat's color. I'm always a Patriot. My whole career, New England Patriots. You cut me open, New England Patriots. I would love to see this team win it again. I would love to see it for, Mike Rabel, one of my former teammates, great guy, Mr. Kraft, there you go, blah, blah, blah. And he chose to basically say, I don't have a dog in the fight. To me, that was kind of weakish. You know what? I'm not going to do the research for you. How about that? I'm not going to do the research for you. That's what you want. I mean, what else do you want? You want me to pop my head up and tell you there's going to be 4 more weeks of winter? Luca Brazzi, you're a gem. After all the trades, who do you say won? Got to say Washington Wizards, in my opinion, made the best moves. Sorry, I'm brought in 2 vets that can make them much relevant. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. Like, to me, it's a little different. Yeah, I am going to get, he's going to get yelled at. But you know what? Vince came with some good comments today. Vince understood during my rant, he's not going to ask me about friggin' player props. Vince read the room on a friggin' Thursday. Vince actually told me too, we're not allowed to talk NBA. He did say that. I don't know who won the trade. I don't. I'll tell you a trade that. Here's a trade that made no sense, and I didn't even bring it up. And I'm surprised you guys. There was one trade that I think was horrible. I think was absolutely horrible. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And that's Golden State and Atlanta. Horrible, 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 horrible. Golden, what are you doing with Porzingis? He's not the best version of himself anymore. He's a free agent. It's like a short-term rental. I don't think they're going to re-sign him. I think that was a horrible swap. I think I've seen people say beep. No, man, I'm doing DF. Doing DF. I am. Heald to me is a good player, but I understand he's easy to cut loose. He's on the hook for like $3 million in guaranteed money, which is peanuts under the CBA. But I like Buddy Hield, right? Obviously, you throw in a couple other players. I'm just saying overall, the Porzingis move to me, I wasn't. Now, again, you got to wonder about the timing, right? Because Butler's out for the season. So, yeah, sure, you need a center, but Porzingis is such an injured player. But JK is a good player. He's a good player. Buddy Hield's, a role player. So that's one trade I did not like. Knicks won, didn't get the team for Giannis. Yes, that's exactly it. And here's the other thing. They also showed you, the Knicks are showing you the toughness. Now, I mentioned 2 days ago, as crazy as it sounded, you get a Draymond Green with all the headache and all the nonsense, but you stick him on the floor and you have that defensive rotation, Bridges, OG, Robinson, Green on the floor, the Knicks would have been the best defensive unit in the NBA. And you know as much as I do, playoffs, you got to lock down. Teams are more adapted running their half-court offense. So you're going to play, obviously, a little more pressure ball. That's what they want to do. Brown wants to do that. I think it would have been a little different animal if they made that move last season, going in the Eastern Conference Finals. But to your point, I was not willing to gut the roster. I was not willing to do it for Giannis. I wasn't. On paper, the Wizards won, but Young and Davis haven't stepped on the court yet. Maybe next year, but the Wizards will find a way to mess it up. No, what the Wizards are doing are basically telling you that we're tanking and we don't want them to step on the floor. That's what they're telling you. We want them to play as little minutes as possible so that we can get a top 5 draft pick, top 3 draft pick. That's exactly what that's what they want. That's exactly what the Wizards want. Yeah, you can look at the moves on face value, no doubt. But the Wizards, they know right now that, you're looking around and we can talk about a revamped lineup, right? You can talk about their depth chart. Young's going to run the offense, right? Johnson will slot pretty much along him as a scoring guard. So Johnson's going to be a good player. I can now let Young bring the ball up the floor, run the offense, find your spot, do whatever you need to do, draw the double, kick out. Now you've got a scoring guard, spacing on the floor. Trey Johnson, I'm taking pressure off of Trey Young. And then obviously AD gives you elite defensive presence. And he also gives you that championship level. But right now, and the other thing is Sar, he's got versatility. So you definitely need guys that protect the rim. So they're young but functional. But they don't want some of these guys on the floor because they want to be a bad basketball team. They want to. They've got work to do. Right now, if you're Washington, you should actually find this silver lining. You're projected top 5, which means I can get immediate help or future value. So they're going to need another big. They're going to, because Davis, the workload's too much for some of these guys, right? So, yeah, I look, if you're a Washington fan, you're sitting there saying, well, we don't want these guys on the floor because we want to get top 3. Yeah, I mean, look, it's yes. But Porzingis, you know, you know. Just want to let you know I'm new to your channel. I really enjoy these chats. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, brother. Keep them coming, man. This is a chat free zone. Chat free, chat free. New, not do. Yeah, we got you. It's a no judgment zone. Kind of like what was those commercials? What was that fitness place when I always used to watch the videos of people freaking out? What was that Planet Fitness? Did you see the one where the guy basically was trying to kick the woman off the treadmill because his shift was about to end? Doesn't Planet Fitness preach no judgment zone? And this guy was judging. Disgrace. Oh, look at that. Tom from Summers Point peeks his head out. Q, Q, Q. There you go. You little shit Giants mini helmet in the background with your grin sipping on your coffee, pissing and moaning about my Philadelphia Eagles. Again, they're going to win 12 games next season. Yeah, I mean, it's funny too. I get people that'll comment in because obviously they, you know, don't know my background too much and they'll see a little Giants helmet and right away when I'm blasting the Eagles. Yeah, if you guys want to think it takes credibility away, go ahead. That's fine. It's not a problem. Trust me. As the players would say and the coaches would say, the body of work speaks for itself. Star chimes in. Q. I'm absolutely rolling over here. How in the world did you just get through Homeland? Because I had to plan everything out. I might go back and binge Entourage. I might go back and binge The Wire. I might go back and binge Loss. I might do that. If I find a show that I really like, I mean, look, there's so many. I started to watch, what's the show right now? Because she's very easy on the eyes, like very, very easy on the eyes. Oh, His and Hers. Don't ruin it for me. But Tessa Thompson, oh, she's phenomenal. Phenomenal, gorgeous, excellent actress, easy on the eyes. I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. Plus, my man Pablo Schreiber's in that, and Liv Schreiber. If you ever watch, here's another show. I'll tell you a show you should watch if you never binged Ray Donovan. Ray Donovan was fantastic. The ending, but Ray Donovan was an all-time show. Ray Donovan, he was the fixer. Great show. I loved it because you had a little of the family background with boxing. John Voight was in it. Who doesn't love John Voight? So that was a very good show. All right, 450, quick timeout. More comments coming in. A couple guys are saying I'm a little hard on Luca Brasi today. I don't think that's the case. I don't. I think I'm actually going relatively soft on Luca Brasi, but that's me. You guys might think differently. I mean, we want to talk about the name, image, and likeness. That's fine. We can get into that as well. 450, couple minutes before we get out of here. All right, couple minutes to play with on a Thursday. Good stuff with the comments. Let's keep them rolling. Started binging the Blacklist, but it began to get redundant. I never got into the Blacklist. I never got into it. Vince says, definitely agree on 1883, 1923. Unbelievable. I think 1883 was fantastic. This is just my opinion. I felt 1923 was better than Yellowstone and also 1883. What is the what is the average number of years between show creation and you watching said show? And then Luca Brasi adds a little fuel to the fire. Preach. That's a fair point. I mean, that's a valid point. Is there a? I'm asking you guys. Is there a limit? Like, is there a statute of limitations here? Right. So let's just pull up Better Call Saul. Wow. Okay. So Better Call Saul was 2015, 2022. It was 6 seasons. Now, full disclosure, I watched it 2 years ago. Hold on a second. Now, I'm a busy guy. What do you guys want from me? Breaking Bad, which was phenomenal. Breaking Bad only ran 5 seasons. Breaking Bad, wow. Okay, so now we're talking 15 years. Now, obviously, the spinoff was Better Call Saul. I love Chicken Man, by the way. So I know what you guys are saying, but I really can't, I can't answer that question. I mean, is there a right? So let me ask you guys: is there a right or wrong answer to this? Like, if is there a limit? So, for instance, if I turn around and binge watch Miami Vice, there's a problem because now we're talking 84 to 89, and that's like a 40-year gap. So you guys are going to get on me, right? That's fine. But I can't, Homeland I thought was recent. I thought Breaking Bad was somewhat recent. Time goes by fast. So sometimes you find these shows on demand or Netflix or Amazon, and I find something I like and I start to get involved in it. I was the same way with The Wire. I told you I binge watched Entourage one time in like 4 nights. And that was 8 friggin' seasons. And you remember when it was on HBO? Like, you got to, tune in next week for Entourage and you're like, I forgot how great of a show that was. I might binge watch it again. In fact, I got Warriors Thailand Friday and Saturday bleeding into the Super Bowl. I might, after I get off the air, watch Entourage and then all of a sudden wake up, unlike Vince, who says he's not watching the game because he has his night shift when we know that's full of just caca. We know for a fact he's going to be walking around putting his player props in. We know for a fact Vince is waiting for Sam Darnold to throw a friggin' pick late in the game so he can come on the air Monday and then he can tell me, hey, man up about Darnold. And then you know what I'm going to counter, Vince? How do you know what happened? Did you watch the game? So, point being, I might just have to start binge watching these shows again. No judgment zone. You judge every word I Always years and years behind. I wait on purpose, so when I binge, I really binge. Thank you. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what I'm saying. You guys are judging me because I'm watching shows that are 15 years old. Now, I got another one for you. Dexter. I didn't realize how Dexter was on in like 2006. Did you know that? 2006. I didn't know that him and his sister in real life, they were in a relationship, not on the show, but in real life. 2006. And I binged. Now, I didn't get into the new Dexter. I didn't get into the original Sin. I didn't get into the New Blood. I didn't get into the Resurrect. I didn't get into any of that crap. I'll give you another show that I will constantly watch when it's on. That's All in Order, SVU. I binge watched again Ballers, which was a great show, right? Still waiting for First and 10, the old HBO series to come back. Yes. That was very good. Absolutely. Most of your audience is hoping Slinging Sammy Darnold shits to bed so we can have a field day for Mano. Why? Because that's one thing. This is what I'm saying. I mean, you guys sit there and have you heard about Hijack Paradise morning show? I heard in the morning show or any other show currently airing. Are you morally against cringe shows? No, I'm not. I just think sometimes I go back and I remember maybe wanting to watch these shows and I just wasn't able to. And then I get excited and I start watching them. Tom chimes in, Q, for the love of God. Did you say Miami Vice? Yes, it's on Pluto. Yeah, it's on Pluto. I actually started to watch it. First of all, I can binge Miami Vice. It was only 4 or 5 seasons. I mean, come on, man. You had everyone. Don Johnson, PMT, Philip Michael Thomas, Edward James Olmos, right? Sandra Santiago. Everyone who was everyone was in Miami Vice. Do you know that? The guest lineup they had is unbelievable. And ridiculous soundtrack. Come on. Now, am I am I stretching myself thin? I would think so. I would think so. But that's okay. What do we got here? JT chimes in. Q, if Daryl Morey gets on the microphone talking about, oh, well, we let some buyout guys. We feel good about this team. I'm going to blank, blank, blank. Listen, I told you, I feel bad for the 76ers. I do. I really do. And you're wasting another year with Embiid, who finally looks like he's healthy. It's just not good. It's not. Nick for Life chimes in. Q, excellent point on Cat. I think he really did turn the corner. He did. He did. I'm telling you why. I'm telling you right now, because he got popped in the face. He got cut. I'm watching the game and I'm like, oh, is he coming out? Where do you go? And you're waiting. And then he's got the little Band-Aid there, the little butterfly Band-Aid. And here we go. And he's good to go. He's good to go. HG chimes in. I've been closely following and covering this team Q for nearly 10 years now. Yeah, I'm old. I don't even think it's close. This was their worst trade deadline in that time span. So that kind of went to my comment with some of these beat guys that, and look, they're all over, different markets, different cities. The reluctance to call out organizations, at times it's appalling. It is. It really is. Because they are so afraid that, the check's not going to clear anymore. And that's a problem. It really is. No one's saying you have to be, boisterous and, go on an all-time rant like I have a tendency to do. But what I'm saying is you are allowed to ask why you made or did not make a move, and you should not fear retaliation or your press credential being revoked or being pulled. You have to be a uberly sensitive organization to do that. And the Sixers are very sensitive. The Sixers are never transparent. They've never been transparent. They're not an honest franchise. They're not. They're not. They just try to pull the wool over the fans' eyes. And again, they basically turn around. You create two TPEs at the deadline, McCain and Gordon. It was not a good or banner 24, 48 hours when you had the franchise player coming out begging for help. Begging for help. And this is what you do. And like I told you before, the owner doesn't care. He does not care. He doesn't. He's worried about Washington. He's worried about the Commanders and their new logo and their new vision, that he foresees for the franchise going forward. Then sell the team. Seriously, sell the team. Do a solid to the fan base. And I get it. Who the hell am I telling a billionaire sell a team? It's not happening. But point is, you just don't care. You don't. And fans are not stupid. That's the problem. Some of these GMs and some of these owners think fans are stupid. Fans pay salaries. Fans go to games. They buy tickets. They buy merchandise. They put gas in their car. They pay tolls. They park. They buy food. They buy liquor. They support the franchise. So when you're not being honest with them, when you're not being transparent, when you treat them like they're jerks and they're idiots and you show them zero respect, or you dangle the carrot in front of them, especially when you're talking about big time major markets like New York, like Chicago, like Philadelphia, like crazy fanatical fans, and you do nothing at the trade deadline and you sold them a bill of goods, they're going to revolt. They're going to be pissed. Everyone knows that, and that's okay. They're allowed. And like I said, you got your franchise player who's tired of ducking the luxury tax. I mean, think about it. You get Embiid basically begging the owner, do something, do something, do something. And I don't blame these players for wanting this guy to be detached from the franchise. I don't blame the fan base for wanting Josh Harris to sell the team, for wanting them to fire the GM. I don't blame them. I applaud them. But the only way you're going to really send a message, which will never happen, is you stop going to the games. And it's the oldest cliche in sports. And that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. It's not. But it's embarrassing with some of these guys that are claiming they're beat writers and or insiders, and all they're doing is pushing narrative and crap that's being spoon-fed to them by the Sixers organization. And that's just a bad, terrible look. It really is. I told you guys this 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the Giants, and I mentioned Tish with those emails to Epstein. Like, how in the world, if I'm the Giants, I don't sit him down and force him to sell? If I'm the NFL, I don't investigate. But the NFL is dealing with what? The NFL is worried about getting the ratings, getting the eyeballs for the Super Bowl. So they're going to sweep it all under the rug. You bet your ass the NFL better look into this after the Super Bowl. Like, it's okay to, cover teams and or be a fan and have an opinion. Like, what's right is right. There's certain things you just can't gloss over. Raider Jack chimes in. Q, did you see that Crosby's time looks like it's pretty much a done deal per Glazer? Yeah, I saw that. I still think, and I know you're a big-time Raiders fan, I still think it's a good landing spot. Obviously, Kubiak, it's the worst-kept secret. And we told you, they have all that money to play with. You're going to get Mendoza. You've got Genty. You got Bowers. And you've got cap flexibility. You got cap space. You're bringing in a quarterback. You just need a head man, and that's going to be Kubiak. The Raiders can turn it around very fast. They can. They can turn around very fast. Yes. Beyond. That is not even, I feel as though this story has kind of like been swept under the rug. I really do. I feel like, and his PR spin was even more embarrassing. Adult companionship. Shut up. Seriously. What are you doing even communicating with that piece of garbage who took a coward's way out, mind you? You're the chairman, the co-owner, the vice friggin' president of the Giants. And you're emailing Jeffrey Epstein back and forth for adult companionship, or you're asking him about adult women? Are we supposed to believe that? Really? And your comment, a brief, you know how many times your friggin' name showed up in documents? 440 times. Once is enough. Once is a problem. Once is a red flag and alarming. That's embarrassing. Like, it just, even to think about, as a Giant fan, it makes me sick. But of course, the NFL, turns around, let's just get through the Super Bowl. What would the NFL do if it was a star player? Oh. Your guess is as good as mine. It's a great question. That is a great question. No idea. The NFL picks and chooses the way they want to punish players. I said it at the time, I said it after, and I'll say it again. What Ray Rice did was horrible. But the NFL stepped in right away. The Ravens stepped in right away. Why? Because it was caught on tape, in a video, in the elevator in Atlantic City. And then Ray Rice did everything in his power to make amends. What he did was despicable. He knows it. At the time, his girlfriend, wife knew it. The public knew it. His teammates knew it. The Ravens did it. Everyone who saw the video, which was horrifying, knew it. Because again, it was captured on video, and it was just horrifying. So what did the Ravens do? He's on suspension for domestic violence. While on suspension that the NFL handed down, he was released by the Ravens. And a lot of it was because of the release of the video, and that was from TMZ. The NFL suspended him indefinitely. And then the Ravens, basically pulled all their stuff from the pro shop, all their stuff nationwide, right? And to Rice's credit, he has been able, he paid the ultimate price for that for his career. The NFL didn't want to touch him afterwards. They didn't want to touch him. I mean, you think Ray Rice, oh man, he's got to be in his 40s. He's got to be in his 50s. I think Ray Rice is like only 37, 38 years old. And think about that. 39 maybe. So yeah, it was, to your question comment, the NFL will pick and choose. I mean, I can't even imagine, and I don't even want to speculate, right? I don't even want to, just speculate if another player or of a Mahomes, Burrowish, Brady-ish, Allen-ish type of player. Oh my God, are you kidding me? You never find the corporation in any of those questionable files. No. I mean, come on. Listen, anyone you find in those files, that's a problem. That is a problem. Yeah, the corporation has their own files. Nothing but upstanding, integrity, honesty, loyalty, professionalism. Bunker boys, peekaboo files. They would Kaepernick him if Fair was on that list. Kaepernick tried to sue the NFL. The NFL didn't want to deal with that anymore. Let's just be honest. And he couldn't play anymore. But to your point, if a star player name came out, it would be horrible. Look, the Giants, even though that franchise has been a laughingstock, it's still one of the most recognizable franchises in the history of sports. Now you got your co-owner. Come on. I mean, and his name appears. Horrible. Bronco Ball chimes in. Great point. No corporation member. No, of course not. We know that. No Q crew. No corporation members. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say no bunker boys. The bunker boys would be on a peekaboo list, like a Puxatani Phil when they peek their head out. Like if we had two lists, if we constructed a list on the show and we just went right down the middle. Remember that when you were little in school, you took the ruler and you went, the pros and cons. Well, I got to date Susie, right? Or Sally, whatever. If we had that list, pros and cons, and we came up with two, we would have run towards the fire, right? And runs away from the fire. We know for a fact QQ and the corporation and the good regulars, we know they're running towards the fire. That is facts. You cannot, in front of the juries, in front of the judge, I put my right hand on the Bible right now. That's what I do. I put my hand on the Bible. The corporation runs to the fire. The bunker boys, and let's be honest, you put these guys on the bright lights and you start to interrogate them a little bit. They start to sweat. You got to go give them a Mountain Dew. It's not good. They would fold under questioning. Yes, I start to believe the bunker boys were released. No one would care about the Epstein files. God knows what the hell's in the bunker boys files. I mean, corruption, fake fanism, retreating, hiding out. Are you kidding me? Not accepting L's? Ah, horrible. Absolutely horrible. Has to go. We Giant fans want Tish gone. I don't blame you. I would too. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible list. See my previous comment, which you judged but failed to read the bunker remembers. I'm sorry. Hold on. I got like 500. I'm sorry. Let me see. Corporate has files of checks cashed by you. I don't take checks from anyone. No. Fresh roasted, pliable, play it again, Three Brooks. But I don't, no, we don't play that game. I'm not on any team's payroll. And I'm not on any network payroll, as Vince claimed a couple weeks ago, which, by the way, I did not like that comment. What did he, I think he said it was what? QNNN? Truly feel the majority of trades were zero sum and nothing really changed across the NBA landscape. Contenders, pretenders, still the same. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, OKC's going to win it again. I just want my Knicks, who have won 8 straight, by the way. making a little noise, not giving up the farm for Giannis. 8 straight. They'll be tested tomorrow. All right. 5 o'clock. Oh, we blew through this. 5 o'clock. All right. Tomorrow. Obviously, Football Friday. Lloyd's going to join me. We will get into the Super Bowl. We will give you thoughts, predictions, analysis. We will do our world famous Q player props, which by the way, once we air those props, those are the props for entertainment purposes. You guys can basically facilitate on your own. And you can see if you can put a little coin in the pocket. Broncos country, let's ride. Earlier comment Q. I can't keep up with Bunker Boys. I can't. I promise Bunker Boys, though, you can mark the tape. I will give you the player props tomorrow. I will give you my player props tomorrow. We'll have a nice little hour, right, of talking Super Bowl, New England, Seattle. I feel like there's absolutely no friggin' juice to this game at all. Correct. QNN bringing you fair and balanced sports. Thank you. Now, see, that's what I'm saying. But before, I thought somebody had Fox Q News, and I was not a fan of that. I didn't like that at all. I think the NBA would cut off LeBron if he was on the. Oh my God. I don't even want to think. You know what? Ultimately, I mean, hell, I part of me is like, oh man, how do I say this? I have to be very the opposite of how I typically am. I would say that if that list, and it's not like the knock list on Mission Impossible, it's worse. If the names dropped, and am I going to be shocked? I mean, look, we know there's going to be entertainment, obviously. And, by all accounts, a lot of music. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. That's not accurate. But there's been speculation that there are, or those that have interacted, not only in the entertainment industry, all walks of entertainment, i.e. movies, production, film, music. Would it shock me if there are athletes' names on this list? No. Would it be, upsetting? Anyone on that list, it's upsetting. It's just, and like I said, as a Giant fan, when you have to have the co-owner come out and make the comment that he made, I mean, I'm sorry, on no earth or common sense. His quote is, "We had a brief association where we exchanged emails about adult women." Do you know why he's saying that? Because he's basically not leaving anything to chance, but yet you're opening up a can of worms. And in addition, we discussed movies, philanthropy, and investments. He's full of shit. Now, I'm not saying he did what you can fill in the blank, but obviously he's had communication and contact, and I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went to his island. Why are you even saying that? What's the first rule of thumb, right? Never say something or never ask a question you already know the answer to. Like, he's opening up Pandora's box by that comment. That's open to interpretation. If I'm the Giants, I'm sorry. I'm sitting him down and we don't want you near the building. I'm forcing you to sell. Sorry. It's just how it is. You get you had just a horrible product on the field, horrible mismanaged. And I know Mr. Mara is going through the cancer and everything and full recovery, nothing but thoughts and prayers. But from a business standpoint, he's been a horrible owner over the last 10 plus years. You're in and out with head coaches. You're in and out with GMs. You go from Coughlin, you force him out. You go to McAdoo. You go to Shermer. You go to Judge. You go to Brian Daboll. It doesn't work out. And then you finally get the guy, the savior in Harbaugh, and the fans are excited, and then this comes out. And that's like a punch in the gut. It's like a punch in the gut. Yes. There you go. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If you come at me with that, that's slander. And you know what else bothers me too? Name, image, and likeness. Right here. Look at this. Name, image, and likeness. Right? I mean, I can technically, if I want to, I could make Luca Brasi. I can have an appearance for Luca Brasi in court, but I'm not going to do that. All right. Busy show. Busy show tomorrow on a Football Friday. Lloyd and I are going to drop a new edition of Back Your Play as well. That'll be out on Amazon, Spotify, Apple Tunes, Apple Music as well. Apple Tunes, whatever the hell they call it. Download the AUDACY app and check out Coastal Sports Digital Network, SR 1029 FM, The Game. Excellent job by you guys with the comments. The new time, first time listeners, as we say, if you like the content, like, comment, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. You guys are fantastic. NBA trade deadline is come and gone. Put a final bow on it tomorrow, but we go heavy with the Super Bowl. Predictions, thoughts, analysis. I want to hear from you guys. Right now, the line's still sitting at 4.5. Seattle's laying 4.5. The total is 45.5. We'll give you a nice little boatload of player props. And you got some storylines in this game. But I still feel as though the game itself doesn't have a lot of buzz. I'm telling you right now. Yeah, I saw that too. You can cross-examine, and I'm going to be as cool as Kerry Matheson from Homeland. That's all I'm saying. Or Quinn. I mean, you're not breaking me. You're not breaking me. It's not happening. You can cross-examine all you want. All right, 5:20. Got to get out of here. We got hoops later on tonight. Back in the Saddle Manano on a Friday edition. Or What the Freak Friday edition of On Cue, as always, powered by good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Pliable, get ready with tea, 3 Brooks Bourbon. Play It Again Sports, Coastal Sports Digital Network. Check them out online. SR 1029 FM, The Game. You guys have a wonderful Sports Thursday. Back in the saddle tomorrow. We'll probably fire off probably about 3:30ish, 4. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for the notifications so you don't comment in, quote, banker hours. That's not a hashtag and it's not a keyword. It doesn't trend on the show. So check out the notifications and we will see you guys tomorrow. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. Be safe, be sound. Talk to you on a Friday. Hasta luego, buen día.